Hi, my name is Shannon, and this is my first book summary for the book The Power of Habit. Um, for starters, I have really enjoyed this book. It's completely different from any other book I've read in grad school or nursing school to begin with. And it was very eye-opening for me. First off, of maybe how many bad habits that I have that I'm hoping to change, and second off, how there's habits all around us that we don't think about every single day. So, like the examples they gave in the book with the toothpaste and shampoo companies, of how marketing companies really made a reward so that people would make these everyday habits, and how these are still things that happen today, and to have us buy their products just really shocked me and was kind of eye-opening. So the first question is, discuss the methods of habit formation in individuals. So the author talks about how there's three different things that take place in order for a habit to occur. So the first is the cue, and this is what triggers you to do your habit. The second is the routine, and this is the actual habit itself. And then lastly, there's a reward. So it's what happens at the end of the routine in order for the person to complete it. So they really started studying this and kind of realized that these three things must take place when they started watching a man named Eugene, who suffered a traumatic brain injury from an infection he had. And they were really amazed by Eugene because part of his brain was no longer viable, but he was still able to form new habits after this injury. So he couldn't remember things that had happened a minute ago, yet he could walk around the block with no assistance, or he could find himself to the bathroom every day in a new house. So they really studied him and learned that these three things must take place in order for a habit. So one example would be, like I said, he could use the bathroom by himself. So the cue is his bladder was full. Second is the routine. So he was able to make his way from the living room to the bathroom. After he had completed this task so many times, it just became a routine to him. And third, the reward is obviously relief of his bladder. So the second question is, discuss methods of habit change in individuals. This book, there's two examples I want to talk about. The one is with the NFL coach, Tony Dungy. So what he really talked about and instilled in his players is that you can't get rid of bad habits. You can just change the routine of them. So, and this really changed the game of football. So he didn't want his players to completely forget everything they'd ever been taught, but really just focus in on how they can make those better. This, another example of this was the college student who was biting her nails, who sought help from a psychologist. So what they had her do is, anytime she had the urge to bite her nails, she would make a tally mark. And then so she was realizing when the cue was starting. And instead of doing the routine of biting her nails, they wanted her to put her hands in her pockets. And so that took away how she did the routine. So it completely changed. And within a few days, she was no longer biting her nails as bad as she used to. The last question is, apply the concept to a patient or yourself. So reading this book, it's really made me think of all the bad habits I have. Particularly the one that I hope to change is taking my cell phone into bed with me at night. So the cue is that I'm tired, it's time to go to bed. The routine is that I would lay in bed, and then the reward is that I get a good night's sleep. But right now my routine is going to bed tired, saying, oh, I'm just going to look at my phone one last time before bed, and then scrolling social media for over an hour or something like that. So instead, I want to change my routine of maybe realizing, 30 minutes before I want to go to bed, setting like a 10-minute time and be like, okay, once this timer's done, no more phone for the rest of the night. And instead of sleeping next to my phone, plugging it in across the room. So that way I get the urge away to, if I can't fall asleep right away, pick up my phone instead and, surf social medias or whatever it may be. So that is something that I'm going to try and do to break this bad habit. Thank you for watching, and I hope to finish the next book summary.